Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to an episode of the Q Series. I am joined today by Jasmine Bullard. Jasmine has been a long time employee, been an employee with me for 7 years, and she's recently changed careers. So,
Yeah,
Jasmine, tell us a little bit. Tell us your bio. We'll just jump right into it. Tell us what you're doing now, but tell us a little bit about who you are.
yeah. So, like Cam said, the last 7 years, um, I was at the Y, and I had the privilege of serving in the family and sports program. So, pretty much anywhere the kids were, there I was also. And I loved every bit of it. And Cam really served me because this last year I had a baby. And so that was my career change. But not really. Cam really empowered and enabled me to still be such a part of the Y with my little babe. And now my husband has a new role here at Western Carolina University. He was at Gardner Webb, so he's getting to be a part of the men's basketball team and coach here. And so it's a little bit different, but that's where we met. And Western brought us together. We moved to Shelby, met all our amazing people through the Y, and now we're back where it all began.
And that's great. Jasmine is such a dynamic leader. And one of the things that I love with being around is she and I would spend a lot of time with coffee or lunch or just even in the hallways or in offices, just talking about leadership and books or podcasts or things we'd read and just sharing things and coaching her coaching up to me. And so I wanted y'all to hear and experience a little bit from Jasmine and talk to her about her wisdom and her great because she just had a really fast track with us on her 7+ years with our YMCA and grew from part-time coordinator, full-time on up to where she's part of the senior staff working in marketing and development at the end. And then she hit the transfer portal with her husband and her child. So,
Recruited.
yeah. So Jasmine, we'll start off. If looking back 7 years, I haven't given you a lot of time to think about this. If you could give advice to a new staff or give the advice to Jasmine 7 years ago, what kind of advice would you give?
um, I would definitely tell her to stay curious and be confident. Um, you're going to learn every day, but be confident in that. Not to second guess yourself, whatever it might be, because you have a role and you're there for a reason. And so believing in that, and I know once I fully bought into that and believed in it, I feel like that's when the Lord really was able to use me. So I would definitely just tell her and any new staff is to be confident and stay curious. Ask questions. If you don't get the answer you think you deserve, ask again. And just be confident.
Yeah. What zaps the confidence of a young staff person?
Mm. That first strike of adversity could really zap it. Um, you know, maybe believing that you're not as good as you thought you were instead of using that as a driving force to be better. Um, and so, adversity struck me pretty quick, but for me, I wanted to do better. I was competitive and I wanted to compete. So to not be afraid of the adversity, and it might knock you down a few steps, but just come back swinging.
Yeah, that's good. So with the Y, all the Ys in North Carolina are really trying to work with teenagers and mental health, and just looking within our YMCA. Um, like a lot of Ys, we say that our number one teen program is employment.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in your career with a lot of teenagers, and that was a strength of yours. I mean, you were your going away party had a lot of young people talking about the impact that you had on their lives and how you changed their lives. And so, um, give me talk to us about three keys in working with
Mm-hmm.
teenage staff.
Oh, yeah. So I've thought deeply about this because, like, for me, taking my role as supervisor seriously, I think really equipped me and helped for my success. And I think the verse is out of Timothy, First Timothy, but to not be afraid as a young leader. Um, but I did think about this. I think there are a top three. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to think of role and relationship. So fully embrace your role as their supervisor and cultivate a relationship out of it, because I think that's the foundation. Because without that trust, these young teens or the young people that you serve, they're not going to believe you. And that's whether you're telling them something good, but especially when you're telling them something to make them grow. Because if they don't trust you, they're not going to believe you. I've been there. Like I said, I was the young leader who sometimes thought I knew it. So being willing, like the more that I had a relationship with my supervisor, I believed them. And I felt like I knew they believed in me. So I wanted to rise up to that. But I think there has to be a balance between personal and professional. Like you have to have a personal relationship without compromising the professionalism, um, and embracing your role as their leader. And that's not out of a posture of pride, but it's a great honor to wake up each day and know that you are going to be on bended knee serving someone else. And it starts with your staff. You're serving that staff, that young person, so that they can go and serve the children or the families or whatever it might be. Um, and just a big part of that, real quick, before I go to my next top thing, is you have to be present for that. Like they have to see you so present, because I can't tell them stories and then believe my success, if that makes sense. Like they have to see my story play out before them. And, you know, I have to be on bended knee to that kid and they get to see me do that. Um, because that's my top role and I have to love them and know them and care for them. Um,
Yeah, I
which
heard this
leads,
week,
go ahead. Sorry.
reading this week, I was reading something, it was a Chick-fil-A thing, but that it was talking about balancing relationships and results. And
Mm,
I think that's what you were saying there. You got to have a balance of that, but those are key.
yeah. Cause like the second thing to that, I think, is respect. And you have to require that respect. And I think it's where sometimes supervisors can fall short because they think, oh, well, they have to like me in order to love me or respect me. And so then you compromise values or whatever it might be. But instead, you're going to gain their respect more, because true respect means that they look up to you and admire you. And they can't admire you and look up to you if they don't actually see you in action or being present, and you can't compromise your values for it. Um, and it's just back to being present. And it's like, for me, I had to recognize, especially because I was young, I was just 21, between 29 now, but you know, I was new, and it's hard for them to be like, who is this young girl coming in? But believing that I am in that role for a reason, requiring respect and respecting them back, but um, showing respect for the children or the families or whatever it might be, but not compromising those values in order to do it, and not just thinking I'm going to walk in and gain respect either.
Yeah.
So that helped, because it's like, and I always empowered my lead staff, like your relationship and how they respect you, you're going to be able to tell, because your staff teach you a lot by what happens in the energy when you walk into a room. So like, are they scared of you? Are they excited? Or do they stand up a little bit straighter, you know, because they want to do well in front of you. So, and you know, your surveys, those things reflect, because you've got to be willing to ask for feedback. Because I wouldn't say I was perfect at that all the time. I had to learn that I'm called to be set apart as a leader who raises leaders. I'm empowering the team and I'm cultivating the team, but I'm not necessarily one of them. So it's
Yeah.
okay to not be a part of table talk, you know? And then I would say that the third, it just reason. You have to inspire their reason every day, and you have to know your reason for why you do something. And goes back to relationships, because like my heart doesn't beat the same way as yours might. And so what inspires me in the morning may not be the thing that wakes you up and moves you. So when you build those relationships with your staff and you know what moves them every day, I think you can inspire that, and you can inspire their reasons. So then you can put them in to the right positions to live that out, or you get to push them into their potential and watch them grow and thrive, and then hopefully be better than you. Like that was always my aim. Like I with Adam's career, I knew I wouldn't be there forever. And so I felt like I would have failed as a leader if I didn't raise up someone to take my role and do better than me. So, but that couldn't have happened without relationships. And I feel very honored and humbled by that going away lunch, that what they knew, I gave them truth and grace and I loved them. That was my whole aim, is to love them well, like Christ has loved me. So.
Well, and you lived it. I mean, we've got two people now that are full time that came through your development. They're part of your family tree, and so you were a great example of that. So the other thing that's just innate in you that always been so impressed with is that you truly have a servant's heart. And we talk about it in the why. We talk about being servant leaders, and we want to be, but you actually lived it. And so share with people that are watching and listening, how did that manifest? What did it look like for you? And how did you live that or accomplish that?
Um, that's a great question, and thank you for saying that. I remember hearing a quote a long time ago, and I don't even know it verbatim, but I just remember it being like, I don't believe you can ever stand as tall as or I only wanted to stand as tall as I was willing to bend. And I do believe to reflect Christ, you have to be willing to serve and do so joyfully. Like if I wake up and I have to do something, then I usually have like a posture of like, ugh, great. But if I know that I get to serve someone that day, like that truly just brought me joy. And to love people into life was an aim for me. I think a good motivating factor is the fact that I lacked that a lot sometimes growing up in my own life or from direct family members. And if it weren't for the coaches, teachers, leaders, the people who saw something in me and cared enough to serve me, then I wouldn't be who I am or have made it very far. So I took that seriously every day that I got to serve them. And that's how I looked at it. I didn't just look like I was someone's boss, like getting to tell them what to do. Like that isn't what I really cared about. But I did care about impacting them and just building meaningful relationships and serving them as Christ did. So, like for me, I remember, this is a little side story, but I had this staff who really grew and developed. I was so proud of him. And he ended up writing a paper about me. And it meant so much. I couldn't believe it because it was a staff that really had to grow. Um, but I do remember getting to the end of that paper, and I thought the one thing he did not say was that I showed him who Christ was. And I thought, that means I missed my mark. So I remember taking what he said, and I cared deeply about it, but I knew that I had to make sure that I intentionally inspired Christ in his life. Because you can do so much for the world, but if you're not doing it for the kingdom, then I don't think you're doing it right. So that, I guess it all is God. Anything good in me is God. So I wanted to serve.
Well, I appreciate you joining and sharing some of your thoughts with people. Jasmine, again, has just been a part of my family. Share a little. You've talked to Adam as a basketball coach. Tell him who
Yep.
your son is.
Reddick Christopher Bullard. We are definitely a basketball family. So
He's named after.
Cam, the Carolina fan, refuses to call him Reddick, so he calls him RB.
Yeah.
You can call him Red, RB.
Yeah, we're gonna call him RB because I refuse to use that name as a Tar Heel name.
Watch him grow up, want to
But
play for Carolina.
Yeah, he's a beautiful boy. When he's in my arms, we talk about Dean Smith. And so,
That's right, every time.
and so, but one of the things I want to do just to keep Jasmine around is that we're going to kind of rebrand the Q series a little bit, and Jasmine's going to start joining us on interviews and topics and talks. And as we just try to find a new era, a new flavor for this as we go forward. So I hope that if there are topics or people that we need to talk to, email and share that so we can schedule and get people get on their calendar that we can talk about, or make sure that we're finding topics that are of interest to you. But Jasmine, I'm glad you're going to be part of whatever we call this going forward.
Yes.
And thank you for joining us. So just remember to share this video with your young staff, to let it spur discussion. as you talk about how to work with teenagers and develop your own team, like the YouTube channel, and just remember, always lead with love.
Always.
All right. Thank you.